Hello, friends. Now, in this lesson, your students are going to be composing and decomposing four-digit numbers. Now, this is not brand new content for students. So they've been doing this for a while, just with smaller numbers. In first grade, they decompose two-digit numbers. Something like, how can we think about 12 ones? Well, we could exchange 10 of the ones for 110. And so we could decompose 12 ones into 10 plus 2. And then we could compose this, decompose, breaking it into smaller parts, composing, taking those smaller parts, putting them back together. So the value of 12 ones is 12. Now in second grade, they started thinking about three-digit numbers, like the 12 tens, which is 120. So again, we could take 10 of the tens and exchange it for 100. Now, if your students are having a hard time with this, those base 10 blocks, you don't have to have them, but they are so helpful because, for example, here, I want you to see how we can actually take our 10 tens here. There's 6, there's 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so we can actually take 10 tens. This is our 100 flat. Look, we can lay it on top of it and see 10 tens makes 100. We could do that with 10 ones and the 10 rod. We could line up 10 ones. We could also take 10 of these hundreds and stack them up right by the cube, and we would see 10 of the 100 stacks up is the same size as a cube. So great resources if your students, like I said, are struggling with making that connection, that place value connection. I know that if by chance your student has been diagnosed with dyscalculia, that is definitely place value is one of the things that that students that have dyscalculia need some extra support with. So that might be helpful if you've seen that. Okay, back to this. We can exchange those 10 ones for 100. And so we would have 100 plus the two tens now. So in expanded form, that would be 100 plus 20. So the value of 12 tens is 120. All right, so now if we think about this, we can represent 12 ones with 110 and two ones. We could represent 120 if we just use tens with the 12 tens. We could also represent it with 100 and two tens. There's even more ways you can decompose 120. So you might have students, even your students work with you on what are some other ways. We could put it as 120 ones. We could put it as 10 tens and 20 ones. So all of those different ways. Now, this is what we mean by decomposing numbers. Decomposing a number means taking a whole number and breaking it into smaller parts. Now, so that's what they've been doing first grade, second grade. Third grade, we're just adding on one more digit. Now they're going to be decomposing four-digit numbers. So let's look at this. What are two different ways to decompose 1,347? And we could do it like we did in lesson 1. 1,000 here plus the 300s, so plus 300, plus 4 tens, so that's 40, plus 7 ones, so that's 7, 1,347. Now we could take this 1,000 cube and exchange that for 10 hundreds. So this 1,000 exchanged and became these 10 hundreds here. Okay, so then in this case, now we have 13 hundreds. So we've got 13 hundreds plus the 4 tens, which is 40, plus the 7 ones. Both times we end up with 1,347. Now, some things that you want students to work on becoming fluent with is that if we think about 15 tens, that is 150. Okay, so one thing students might notice a pattern that, okay, well, if I'm talking about tens, a number of tens, I just add a 0 at the end. But you also want them looking at the place value and realizing that 15 tens, okay, well, if I've got 15 tens, then I know 10 tens makes 100. So I could write this as 5 tens, and 100. So we would have 100 plus 50. Do you see where we're going here? This is going to help them with addition. Remember the rule where we're carrying. We add and we get a number greater than 10 and we carry the 1. We are going to get there to that rule. Students will do that, but hopefully it's going to make more sense to them because we're spending time talking about place value here. Now 1500s, so if I have 1500s here, again, they may notice the pattern. When I'm talking about hundreds, I add 2 zeros at the end. If we look at our place value chart, 10 of those hundreds would make 1,000, and then I would still have the 500s here. If we took away 10 of the hundreds, that would make 1,000. Plus, again, we would have plus 500, which would give us the 1,500. So those are some things you may need to practice some with some base 10 blocks and place value charts to help build this fluency of what happens, like I said, of what happens when we're regrouping. All right, so let's look at some of the types of problems that your students are going to see in today's work. First of all, they're going to have a number that they're decomposing in 2 different ways. Well, we could use the way we did in lesson 1, 6 thousands, 400, 110, and 5 ones. So that would just be 6,000 plus 400 plus 10 plus 5. So 6,415. Now, what if we used a different way? So what if we took one of the thousands away? So we made that 5 thousands. Well, then 5,000 is 10 hundreds. So we would have to put the 10 hundreds over here from that 1,000 we took away. So we have 5 thousands, 14 hundreds, 110, and 5 ones. Do you see where the students are going with this? Remember the rule for subtraction. Oh, we mark it out. We borrow. We add a 1. We're building this foundation. So that rule is going to make sense when they see that rule later on. Okay, so in expanded form, this one would be 5,000 plus 1,400 plus 10 plus 5. So 5,000, 6,415. All right, next students will see some numbers like this, some written out, and some expressions, and they'll say what number is composed. So now we're doing a composition. We're taking those numbers that have been broken apart, we're composing them together. So this would be 8,000 plus 3 hundredths plus 5 tens is 50. So that's 8,350. Now look at this one, 3 thousands. All right, 3,000. 15 tens. How much is 15 tens? Well, that's going to be 150. This is why I was saying we need to build that fluency that 15 tens is 150. 15 hundreds is 1,500. And then the 6 ones. So we get 3,156. Now finally, 21 hundredths. Well, that's 21 hundredths, 2 thousands, and 100, because we could take 10 of those hundreds, swap it for 1,000. Another 10 of the hundreds, swap it for 1,000. And then the 15 ones. So 2,115. All right, a couple more types of problems that your students will see. These are just some similar examples. They'll also be composing from base 10 blocks. So when I see these base 10 blocks, I can do some regrouping. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can take 10 of those 10s and I can regroup them into 100 flat. And then when I look at my ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I can take 10 of those and make it a 10. Now what do I have? I have 2 thousands plus, now I've got this 100 plus, how many 10s do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 10s, 70, and then there are 2 ones. So 2,172. All right, they'll have a problem like this one where they're shown 4 different decomposition. Which one is different? Well, here we've got 3,000s, 200s, 5 10s, 1 1s. Which other ones show 3,000s? So 3 in the thousands place, plus the 200, so 3,000s. Let's look at it like this. And 200 plus 5 10s plus 1 1. Okay, well, I see 3,000. Do I see 200s? Yes. Do I see 5 10s? Yes. Do I see a 1? Yes. Now, you might just add them all up and do it that way. That's okay. But we also want students, like I said, understanding we can just look at it and look for those place values. Do I see 3,000s here? Yes, I do. Do I see 200s? No. What do we see? We see 2 10s. So this one is not the same. Here, do I see 3,000s? Yes. Do I see 200s? Yes. Do I see 5 10s? You got it. And 1 1. Okay, finally, how can we use place value charts to decompose 5,234? Now, again, we can think about, I don't know if you're thinking, think ahead. They're going to be learning all about that borrowing concept. That's kind of what we're thinking about here. If I have, for example, 5,000s, I could say, well, let's take that away and make it 4,000. And that would, I'll exchange that 1,000 for 10 10s. So then we would have 4,000s, 1,200s, 3 10s, and 4 1s. If we add it all up, 4,000 plus 1,200 plus 3 10s plus 4 1s, that adds up to 5,234. Now, there are many different ways we can use that. Let's go back to the original one. I'm going to write it in a different color. I'm just writing the original way, 5,000s, 200s, 3 10s, and 4 1s. Okay, goes back to what we started with. Well, we could think about taking away 2 10s if we wanted to. If I took away 2 10s and I made that 1 10, okay, well, I have 3 10s. See how helpful these place value charts? If I take away 2 of them to turn into 1s, how many 1s do I have? I would have 20 1s. So I would add 20 1s over here. So I could write it as 5,000s, 200s, 110, and 24 1s. Now again, if we write it out, 5,000 plus 200 plus 10 plus 24. We get 5,234. So it's just different ways that we can decompose this number. Let's look at one last way. This video is going really long. I apologize. So we would have let's look at it again. So let's say we have, again, go back to our original 5,234. All right. Well, let's say that I wanted to take away all of the hundreds. I'm going to take away all of the hundreds. And so 100 is 10 10s. So if I took away 2 of those, I would give 20 10s over here. So again, we would have 5,000s, 0 hundreds, 23 10s, and 4 1s. So 5,000 plus 230 plus 4, which gives us 5,234. All right, my apologies for that video being lengthy. I did not, was hoping that it wouldn't go quite that long, but there's a lot covered in decomposition. You'll see in the note catcher that is down below that I've got an extra sheet where we've got just some of the place value charts if you want to print that out to just have some extra practice with this. All right, my friends, I hope that was helpful, and I hope I'll see you in another video. See you soon.